Now I welcome Rithwik Rajesh for this interview on which I'll be doing a series of interview with a lot of people who have gone from India to do masters in other country. Now he is going to Queen's University Belfast to pursue his masters in molecular biology and biotechnology. In this process of application, he had to go through a lot and lot of internships, lot of process, and also a lot of certifications which he had to go through in order to get get into pursuing masters in UK. So now this interview process will always be about how he applied and what was his thought process in order to apply for the masters in UK. And also I will try to demystify that actual thrill of working in genetic engineering and biotechnology. So I welcome Rithwik Rajesh for this podcast
Thank you very
series.
much for having me, Nishit.
Yeah. Thank you, Rithwik, for accepting this interview schedule for in a very short span of time.
My
I
pleasure.
never had this.
My pleasure.
I never knew that a person I just ping now and he just gives me a slot to just record the podcast. And thank you so much for this interview, Rithik.
Yes,
Let's just
yes,
come to the point. Now we are going to masters. You also did your bachelor's from SRM University, which was in BTech in genetic engineering.
correct.
So now you have been seeing a lot and lot of technologies. I have been fascinated with computer vision for quite a while now. But what
Mhm.
was that one thrill which made you okay? If I want to pursue something, I have to pursue in biology. You can also explain it through your journey from the childhood to your journey today.
Actually, this journey started very pretty early, to be honest, right in my school days. So, a little bit about me. Both my parents are doctors, so I hated going into a stream that involved medicine. So I didn't want to go for medicine. But if I had to go to engineering, I needed a subject that didn't involve a lot of mathematics. Unlike other things like computer science and mechanical engineering, etc., etc. So in school days, I was always wondering what option I would go through, and it is when my biology teacher started talking about transgenic technology, cloning, and she also talked about the first cloned mammal, which is dolly, a sheep. So all these things kind of interested in me, but I never knew there was right in the school days. I never knew there was an option called genetic engineering or biotechnology. Like I'm talking about way back in my childhood. Like I never knew there was an option like this. But later, when I came to plus two, and when I was writing my entrance exams, I saw that there was an option called genetic engineering, which offered a BTech right here in India itself. So at that time, there were only like three universities which offered genetic engineering. At that time, I'm talking about 2016. So one was Hindustan University, which is in Chennai. Second one was SRM University, and third one was some university which was far off in Patna. So among these, at that time, SRM was a premier institution when it came to genetic engineering. So I didn't think twice. I wrote the entrance, the SRM JE, and I secured a place in SRM. So yeah, that's how I got into SRM, started my field of genetic engineering.
And there has been a lot of people who might have influenced you in order to be that one person who really wants to work in this field. Was there any experience of meeting such
Um,
kind of people? Or who is that influence to you?
it's very hard to pinpoint one specific person, So right before joining university, like when I was in plus two or something, I guess plus two means 12, if I'm talking to a general audience right now.
Yeah.
Like since my mom works in medical college over here, a government medical college, there was a conference on genetics, just genetics. One of the speakers was Dr. Vinod Skaria. So he is, a premier bioinformatician when it comes to his field. And he had actually finished MBBS right before pursuing this subject of bioinformatics. So, he was talking about, bioinformatics, the field of genetic engineering, transgenic technology, and a lot of things like that. So then and there, I started, I got more interested into the field, which I already was, after attending one or two of his lectures, to be honest. Um, Other than that, there was, to be honest, there was a lot of pop culture references to genetic engineering. If you, I mean, you might have watched X-Men, Jurassic Park, etc., etc. So the whole field of cloning or, genetic engineering was more of an interest to me than the actual degree. You get me? Yeah. So that's it.
Okay, there are ways in which certifications have helped you in order to get an admission also.
Hmm.
Can you
Hmm.
specify any sort of certifications? And also, you can speak about your projects which you had done prior in your bachelor's degree. And also, you can
Right.
speak about much more interactions which you have done. You have met lot and lot of people in the genetic engineering itself, and also in
Hmm. Hmm.
biotechnology. You can also say how
Hmm.
were they influential in order to make you motivated to go and pursue your masters.
Right. So, um, like my first, direct hands-on experience when it came to things like recombinant DNA technology was in my second year. Like I did a summer internship in a company called Indam, Indo-American Hybrid Seed, which is based in Bangalore. So that is the first time, I'm actually taught and I'm actually doing hands-on work on things like recombinant DNA technology. There were a lot of people there to support me, to guide me on the process. Then flash forward to the fourth year, I went to IIT Guwahati. There also there were a lot of courses like imaging, microbiology, where we practiced a lot on streaking, straining, slanting, etc. But the first and the most difficult, work experience you could say I've received was from Indian Institute of Science, which is also in Bangalore. And I'll be very frank. Like I used to be an average student. I used to, slog, when I was in the university. But when I reached Indian Institute of Science, I used to work my ass off. Like I used to work almost like there used to be times when I used to work 12 hours, 14 hours till 12 at midnight, and it was very serious work, but at the time very fun because very knowledgeful also because you are doing things on your own, unlike the previous internships, because this is part of your major project, and there could be serious repercussions within the lab as well as back at the university if you didn't do your project right. So yeah, I worked very hard on it, and my guide was very gracious to offer me a spot in the lab so that I could pursue my project. My project was titled Congenital Diarrhea based on Goosey gene. And so, as I said, I started working in Indian Institute of Science, and the name of my guide was Dr. Sandhya Vishwesharya, and she was very gracious to offer me a role in her lab where I could work on my project. The title of the project was called Congenital Diarrhea based on Goosey gene, right? So, if I have to talk a bit of with the project, congenital diarrhea is a disorder. It's a congenital anomaly that affects a lot of people over the globe. So what happens in congenital diarrhea is that the affected patient or the person will be having diarrhea throughout his life. It's not a case of like when you have street food one day and have diarrhea the next day. The affected individual will be having diarrhea throughout his or her life, and this was the reason was found out to be a mutated GUCY2C gene, which encodes for GCC, which is a receptor which is called guanyl cyclase C, right? So what I had worked on was I had worked on a mouse which had mutated GCC because mouse GCC and human GCC are very similar in an index. So I had to work on a mouse GCC, a mouse with a mutated GCC to find out that if there were other genes, the expression of other genes like NHE3, OAS2, CXCL10, etc., and see how it's different from a wild type mouse. And the second part of my project involved attaching a 3x flag tag to a GCC sequence so that it could be efficiently separated out later. So my project was, actually scheduled to be from January to April, but unfortunately, due to the pandemic, I had to stop it in March and make my dissertation on it. But it went well. I could make a proper dissertation out of it. I had, proper results, etc. So yeah, that helped me, kind of boost my CGPA a little bit also, because up until then my CGPA was not that high. But after the project, it got boosted a little bit, and I could say that since I, worked in places like Indian Institute of Science, that may have helped me secure a place for masters abroad.
Yeah, uh, seeking a place for a master's degree is absolutely fine. But there were a lot of certifications which you were supposed to do, and lot of exams which you
Hmm.
were supposed to crack in order to just get the admission.
Yeah.
Also, how was that
Hmm.
process all about?
To be honest, like I had planned on going to US first for my masters. So luckily, before all the pandemic and everything started, I had written my GRE as well as my IELTS on December 2019. So basically, these are the only two things which you need to, apply to uh, most places abroad. And other than that, they look into your experience, like where all you interned in, and also there are Coursera. Coursera is a platform where you can, learn courses and get it certified. So I had three certifications. One was on cancer biology. Second one was on R programming, which is bioinformatics, and third one was a very interesting course called The Addicted Brain, which was offered by the Emory University. So yeah, that's it. That's frankly that's all you need to, that's all the requirements are in most universities. Your GRE and your IELTS. Coming to UK university, they don't even actually ask for your GRE, but it helps when you don't have like an 8-point CGPA or something. You can keep it alongside it when you're applying, so that the chances of you getting a scholarship are higher.
How much was your score in GRE and IELTS? If you can segregate it in terms of the sections, it would be much more useful for the
Uh,
other people.
I really don't remember how much I got in quants and quals, but my total score was 307, which I didn't expect at all, to be honest. Coming into IELTS, I secured a 7.5 band. Right, and the Coursera, it's usually you are supposed to get a good score because they offer you, even if you don't get a good score in your exam, which you finally have to write at the end of your Coursera course, they let you, write it again. You can improve your marks, but you should do it honestly. You shouldn't, copy it off from some other place or something. Yeah.
Yeah, also like living expenses are much more expensive when compared to what you spend in India or else in US, because it's UK at the end of the day. It's pretty expensive. So now, what are all your hacks in order to survive there?
To be honest, I'm yet to go. So my flight is on the 22nd. So I'm yet to go there and actually live out that kind of life. But compared to a lot of other places in UK like London and one of those big cities, no, London, Manchester, etc. Belfast is kind of a smaller place, so the cost of living is much more. From what I heard, it's much more lesser than compared to a big city like London. Coming into expenses and where I stay, especially, uh, on the long run, I feel like it's better staying in your uni accommodation itself, uh, because I'm talking strictly in perspective of UK universities. Okay, so most UK universities, they include bills like your water charge, your electricity charge, etc., along with your rent. But when you stay outside, like get an apartment and stay on your own, especially, it will be very expensive unless you get three or four people to share it along with you. And plus, if when you're going to a new place, it's much more better to get an accommodation which is as close as to your university as possible. Especially since most of us Indians, we are not used to snow, etc. Like snow, the cold weather, everything, and we actually have to walk a lot over there. Unlike what you have in India, you can't order a cab every time because it's too expensive. So most of the time you'll have to cycle or walk your way into university. So I personally feel it's better to get an accommodation as close to your university as possible, and if possible, get a uni accommodation. Regarding other expenses, there are places like Tesco and Aldi in UK. So they are like pretty big supermarkets. And from what I heard, if you buy their products, like spices which are made from Tesco, meats which are offered by Tesco or Aldi or something, you get proper discounts and you get it at a reduced price. So that's all I know as of now. I'll figure out more once I actually get there.
Yeah, how many universities did you apply? Leaving all the expenses, everything, it's fine. But how
Hmm.
many universities did you apply? How many rejects and how many accepts?
So I think I applied to nearly, I don't remember the names of universities completely, but I applied to almost five universities, five or four. So the very first one that I applied to, which was Nottingham Trent University, gave me a straight rejection, saying that sorry, your academic credentials don't match up. Um, but what was surprising is the place where I got accepted to, which is Queen's University Belfast, as a much more higher ranking as compared to a place like Nottingham Trent University. So then I applied to places like Bangalore University, University of Chester, where I think I had received acceptance from, but compared to all these universities, Queen's University of Belfast had a better ranking, as well as the course which I was looking forward to, like molecular biology and biotechnology. I was the most interested in, because when you just go for biotechnology, like masters in just biotechnology, they focus a lot on subjects like enzyme engineering, biochemical engineering, fermentation, etc. I wasn't very much interested into that part. I was more interested to the molecular part, which involved cell signaling, etc. So yeah, that's all in all. I think I was rejected by one or two universities, and got accepted in the other three.
No, that was amazing too, because it's not like everybody will get disheartened. As soon as you get that straight rejection from any of the universities, they get disheartened and they feel like
Yeah,
feel so
yeah.
low that nothing is happening in our life and what to do now. And now you just came off with something else, and now you are going for Queensland University, and it's amazing. Queen's
Queens,
University.
Queens.
That's amazing. Because
Yeah.
getting inside UK is also something which is different. And what was the visa process all about to you?
So the visa process was like pretty straightforward when it comes to UK. So I had taken the help of an agency. So all I had to do was pay the amount, which is around nearly 60,000 for the application. And I should bring to your attention that there are different, you know, um, like you can get your visa in like either 15 days, which is standard, 15 working days. You can get it faster within like 5 working days, which is called a priority. Then there's something called super priority, which I think is available only in New Delhi, where you can get your visa the same day you have your interview. Um, Coming into the process, like I applied for a priority because I was actually originally planning to go on the 6th of January, and my scheduled interview date was around the second week of second or first week of December. The process was like very fairly simple. Like all you had to do was pay your charges. Then you had to get your documents in order and bring the same documents, bring a copy of those documents to the visa interview. They asked me no questions as long as you have your financial and your educational documents in order. I don't think it will be an issue. The whole visa process. And do remember to take a copy of all your documents in A4 size, because when they are scanning it, they need it in their A4 size, and you don't need to submit your original documents. You just need to submit a copy. You can take that back as well.
Yeah, I know. When you told about the visa process, it was fine because it was all a direct process. But like after
Hmm.
accepting to the universities, right? How do you
Hmm.
choose the professors that you want to work under, or else like the courses which you want to be and the labs which you want to work on?
Mm.
Are there
So
any sort of
it
are there any sort of selection process which goes on in order to
yeah.
give you that?
Yeah. So it depends. It actually depends on the course and the type of modules that you have. So coming into my case, this semester I have a module called literature review. So you have to, work with the professor under his project or under his or her project, and make a literature review out of that. After which, the next semester you'll have something called a research project, where you can work in under the same professor or a different person. So that option will be given to you once you enroll. Like once you start your classes, your coordinator or whoever deals with this will give you a list of projects and the professors who are will be guiding you. So you can choose it, choose whatever project you choose to work under or wish to do a review as well.
Yeah, when you told about the IISc as your project, you
Hmm.
you you had that encounter with lot and lot of great minds in
Yeah.
India. What you can actually think about,
Yes.
in IISc. How was that application process into IISc was?
Again, it was very straightforward. Like for us, like for me in my BTech, for our last semester, we are supposed to do a major project, which lasts for almost 4 to 5 months, before which we are awarded our degree. So my university had given the option of either working in SRM itself, or you can go to any university or institute or research lab that you like, even within India as well as abroad. Um, so a lot of my friends actually went to universities like Uppsala, um, uh, etc. Universities abroad, but I thought of doing my project here in India itself. And since IAG was a very it's a very premier institution, I didn't think twice. I just went to their page. There were the list of projects that were um, headed by the respective professors or guides. So all you had to do was directly mail the professor under whom you want to work under, and if a slot is available, they'll get back to you. They'll have a short interview, like they'll probably ask you questions like why you're interested, what domain you wish to work under, etc.
Thank you, Rithwik, for clarifying all the doubts on application to UK for the masters. If possible, I wish you also pursue your doctoral and also postdoctoral in the same field. And
I
I wish
gotta think
you
about
better luck,
that.
brother.
Yeah, I gotta think about that. As I said, like when you learn a lot of things when you're actually doing something. So I hope when I do my masters, I'll get the idea of whether I have to pursue my PhD or work directly or etc. Things like that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rithwik. Thank you.
Yeah.